Thanks, Dan. Yeah, just since we're at this stage now, the Democrats having rested their case with their opening statements, the beginning of the White House counsel's opening statements, we thought we'd take stock. And we have several people with us to analyze last week's goings-on. Adolfo Franco joins us. He's a Republican strategist, former advisor to the late Senator John McCain, and a staunch Trump supporter. Rena Shah, Republican strategist and founder of Rhinax Strategies. And Douglas Sloan, Democratic strategist and senior principal consultant for the National Capital Strategy Group. Adolfo, first of all, is there any concern at all? Is Trump wounded in the slightest following the Democrats' opening arguments?
Oh, I don't think so at all. I don't think anybody can recall now with so much repetition for 21 hours. They did a good job of, I think, framing potential commercials and for the election and have to energize their base. But what's very clear here, and this is going to be, of course, an acquittal in very short order, possibly by the end of this week or early next week, is the following. It's been a long time since I tried a criminal case. I'm a lawyer from way back, but it's always better to be the defendant, and it's always better to go second. Somehow it's easier to rebut something and to explain to people why certain elements haven't been made. From a legal standpoint, the problem is this is politically tied to a legal issue. From a legal standpoint, this is a case, obviously, for summary judgment and dismissal from the outset. There's a burden. There's no underlying crime that's being charged. The problems with things like abuse and obstruction, when there's a debate about the powers of both branches of the government, is the following: it's subjective. So unless you have elements of a crime, it's very difficult to come to the conviction level of in any case. In this particular case, it's a political agenda coupled with subjective interpretations, for example, of the transcripts, which my colleagues will have a different view.
But wait, do you think Trump has actually been strengthened by this in some ways?
I do. I think certainly our fundraising numbers show that. The polling number with our base show that. The fact that the country's evenly split, as it always has been with Donald Trump. In most instances, when there have been political crises, of course, the president's popularity and numbers go down. In this case, I think the president will actually be strengthened by this, and especially after his acquittal.
Douglas Sloan, and that's an argument we've heard quite a bit from the left of the Democratic Party, too. You may have constitutional principle on your side, but in the end, the entire Democratic strategy against Donald Trump since he was elected has been completely flawed and has only boosted the president, first with Russiagate, which some have interpreted as a desperate attempt to try and explain why Hillary Clinton lost to the most unpopular candidate in U.S. history. And now with Ukrainegate, it's just strengthening Trump. What the Democrats should have done, instead of looking abroad for ways to attack Donald Trump, is look at his policies. He's been transforming America quietly while attention has been on all of this stuff. People should have been mobilized against his policies on the environment, on inequality, on immigration, not for the firing of some right-wing attorney general like Jeff Sessions.
Well, I believe that first of all, regarding Russiagate, as you call it, even the president admits, along with all of our intelligence agencies, that Russia did interfere in our elections in 2016.
Right, but a few $1 million of Facebook ads and so on.
But that's no longer. Well, that's no longer up for debate. Number two, in regards to what happened during Ukraine, this is very serious when the president is approaching a foreign power and seeking their assistance to do an investigation on a political opponent. That has never happened before. We were looking at things that have never happened before in the history of this country. And just to address the Republican strategist's point here regarding crimes being committed, when the Constitution was written, there were no criminal statutes. So in terms of actual crimes, that's not what they were talking about, rising to the level of impeachment. Right now, the president can up and fly to Saudi Arabia and decide he wouldn't do his job anymore, and he would be impeached.
But you're a strategist. Hasn't the Democratic strategy failed? He's going to be acquitted by the end of next week, and he's going to run on this. He's making lots of money out of it.
Well, first of all, I'm not going to say that it's failed, because 51% of the American public, he was very interested in how you parse his words. He says, our base has been polling this way. Well, 51% of the American public believes that this president should be impeached. That is unheard of. We have never seen these type of levels.
During the Clinton era, it was only around the 30% mark.
We've never seen these type of levels before. And on top of that, this president has never risen above a 50% approval rating. His approval ratings right now are at 42 or 45%. We've never had a president in modern history since polls have begun that has had this low an approval rating. So in terms of, well, he's doing well among the base, but that's not the only people that are coming out to vote. We're going to have all the American public come out to vote, and he's polling horribly. 51% of the people in the United States think this president needs to go. That is unheard of.
And yet, Rina Shah, the Republicans in the Senate are unlikely to vote for impeachment.
Well, I don't want to get to that. Here's the thing. I'm skeptical. Don't steal my thunder here, mister. The reality is that 70-some% of this country wants to see this president removed. That is more remarkable to me than a little more than half the country wanting impeachment. Check the polls. Of course, I'm skeptical of a lot of them since 2016, but that is a number that we should not ignore.
But you're a Republican strategist. You think the evidence
I'm a
clearly.
former Republican
You've been persuaded by the evidence, yet your party in the Senate is utterly cowed by Donald Trump. He has total control over the Republicans.
If you're asking for my analysis of this, it's that the Republican senators are derelict of their duty here. They are not willing, because the statements they put out in the Twitterverse, in the public sphere so far, have shown that they do not want to be impartial jurors. Senator Mitch McConnell has gone so far to say, I'm not an impartial juror. These people are not only hypocrites, they are concerned with their re-election. Let me get this straight. I'm a former Republican strategist. I do currently work with many Republicans at various levels running for Congress.
So what do they tell you? Are they just scared that Trump will campaign against them, for example?
They are not scared of Trump at all in the sense that, well, the congressional, sorry. Let's talk about the ones that are already seated. Those are the ones that are scared. The ones that are running for Congress now love Trump, and they're not scared of him because they believe what he's done is open the door for anyone to come in and say, I'm best suited to take this country in a new direction. How this president has taken the country in a new direction is by saying, we welcome foreign interference. We want Russia to help us. Russia, if you're listening, help me in this election.
Having said that, though.
No, this is proof. There's video out there, and our founders
That was rhetorical there.
Yeah, well,
you can say it's rhetorical, but we should take this. No, we should take this president's words very literally.
This is fantasy land. Of course, the economy, the president's accomplishments on trade deals, and the Mexico-Canada trade deal, the movement on China.
You agree with tariffs? You agree with the tariffs?
As you said about the thunder here, that they have yielded results. Yes.
This is a lie that you support the president love. You love to put out this disinformation lie, and that's what we can expect a lot of these next 4 days.
Is this a monologue, or do I listen to you? I listen to you politely.
I am not going to sit here and take lies. These are Obama-era policies that are helping the economy, and these guys want to run on it.
Well, actually, there's a problem there, because Rina, President Obama refused to send lethal aid to Ukraine as well.
It doesn't matter about what Obama did in regards to foreign aid. It means what he did domestically for the economy. And look at these guys. They're like, look at Trump helping our economy. Absolutely not. These are Obama-era domestic
But no one's mobilizing on inequality. They're all being distracted by all these issues of foreign interference. Shouldn't the Democrats have been looking to Trump's actual policies?
If I may on this. We can have a debate about that. That's legitimate. I disagree with you on trade. I disagree with you that we don't have record low unemployment. I disagree on the president's, I think, very, very successful policies. That's a legitimate debate for the election. That's no question. Let's go back to what the program is really about, which my colleagues here are avoiding, is in the House, the only bipartisan vote was against impeachment. In the Senate, I'm making a small prediction, and let's have the three of us back. I am making a prediction it will be a bipartisan vote to acquit the president. Did you hear what I said? To acquit, meaning Democrats in the Senate will join with every Republican to acquit the president, and a majority of at least 55 or 56 votes to acquit the president.
That is the most asinine prediction I've heard this entire cycle.
We will see how Senator Jones votes.
Can we get back to the facts?
We will see how we are talking.
I'm not here for predictions because we've heard pundits be wrong in the past.
Adolfo, very quickly then.
The facts are these in this case. The facts are these in this case. This is a wholly subjective determination.
Okay, I'm going to jump in here because you think a lot of talk time. The president committed a crime. Bribery is a crime when a president commits.
He has not been charged with bribery. He has not been charged with bribery.
It doesn't matter if he's been charged or not. There's no court of law. It's a deliberative body. It does matter.
A trial.
Quid pro quo
Are you a lawyer?
Excuse me, a pre-law student could take this. A pre-law student can take this. Quid pro quo is
What is a
bribery,
trial
and
without
bribery is a
witnesses?
crime when a public official commits it.
What is a trial without witnesses?
There is
is a trial without witnesses.
Can I just stop
Where
all of you for a
will
second?
they
We're running out of
have
time.
witnesses?
But this is a sort
What
of
is an
debate that we're having, which is
indictment
in the end going to bolster Donald Trump. Let's face it.
Correct.
He's going to be acquitted,
You're
and he'll
absolutely
run on
correct.
this.
We
This is
don't
a
know
waste
that.
of time in
We
some
do
ways. Shouldn't we be
not
looking at
know
Donald
that.
Trump's
This
record?
will
For sure.
bolster Donald
You can
Trump
laugh all
among
you
his
want.
base. With his
This is
base
not
voters.
funny
This
to
will
me
help
that the
him.
president commits
But
a crime.
again,
I'm
he's
sorry.
underwater
Are you laughing
nationwide.
that there's a
I'm laughing
crime?
at your
His
analysis.
approval
Your analysis
ratings
is reductive.
right.
under 50%. So this will not help him with
This
the
is-
larger electorate.
Yeah.
And that is who he has to convince. He has to convince independent voters. He has to convince some
As he-
conservative Democrats. He's not convincing them.
As he did-
He's
as he
remained
did at-
underwater.
Adolfo, Douglas,
As you did in
Rena,
2016.
We'll stop there then, shall we? It is interesting about independent voters because actually there's evidence that, again, independent voters
Are against
have
this
been
impeachment.
a little bit perturbed by the Democrat strategy
Correct.
here and would rather talk about healthcare, immigration, and not so much this
President
foreign
will be
interference
re-elected
thing.
by a larger
But we'll
electoral
leave it
margin.
there. Stan, back to
I'll
you.
take that back.
Well done, Jihad. Thank you for that.